that model is called the property of the same. The chaos, the disorder, that's the other. It's that which is ceaselessly changing and turning about and going through its multifarious forms. Therefore, these are the two principles in the universe, same and other. Therefore, in trying to fashion soul, these are the only two things in the universe. Therefore, God took the same and other, and mixed them, and therefore created out of that mixture a new third thing. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. This then, 1, 2, 3, he mixes these together in a certain ratio, analogical ratios. He mixes these together, using being itself to mix them. That's soul. That's soul. See, that's soul. That becomes soul. Now, if that's soul, then a part of man, by necessity, must be intelligible, must be part of the mind of God, must it not? Because that's part of man. See? Part of man, therefore, necessarily is divine. It must therefore, in its functioning, be rational, reason. Right? Therefore, this activity must be in the soul. That's what he said a moment ago, didn't he? And therefore, we have a very interesting picture, necessarily, that the soul of man is composed of these three parts brought together into a unity. And in that unity, the highest part is the idea in the mind of God, or the very idea in the mind of God, or the mind of God. Still is possible that it is in all intelligible beings and all intelligible creatures. Therefore, this together is soul. And therefore, necessarily, there is reason within it. Because in that process, now man is going to now turn about and bring about his own unity, his own creation, bringing his own order out of his own disorder. He must then reflect back upon what? What is divine in himself. And therefore he needs an image of the divine in order to meditate. And if you don't have an image of the divine, then you may be doing a lot of things, but you're not in the Platonic game of meditation. This is a Platonic meditation. For the supreme principle of creation is nothing other than man has to work upon himself. Therefore, in our analogy, we can now expand it and say, got a new page. God is to his cosmos, right? As the idea is to its creation, or the cosmos, or, see if we can say, God is to the cosmos, that's a process. Right? It depends upon an idea in the mind of God for that process to take place. 1, 2, the process itself is a rational process, not cold, right, but filled with beauty and goodness. Therefore, on this side, let me then say, you need an idea. You need an idea. You need an idea, which you then must focus on. And in that moment of focusing on that, you must then create out of the disorder in your own soul a ordered soul, which will be akin to the same order as the universe. Which we're calling cosmos. Therefore, as God is to the cosmos, so man is to his own work, his own production, which is his soul. Now, beauty and goodness, this is a curious idea. Now, these are analogies, aren't they? These are four-term analogies. But throughout the entire Timaeus in Greek cosmology, they play with series of mean analogies, both 3 and 4-term mean analogies. Now, let's just take a look at one and make one, all right? As God is to the idea of creation, so too the idea of creation. Now, creation, remember when I talk, it's always not creation out of nothing, it's always a rearrangement. And I don't know a better word for it than because it's creating, but it's not creating stuff. It's not creating stuff. It's creating beauty. It's creating order. That's out of nothing. That wasn't there. That's the out of nothingness. But it's not out of nothingness in the pure sense because it's out of the idea in the mind of God. So, God is to the idea of creation as the idea of creation in man is to the order in his own soul. So, in that sense, while we're studying the Timaeus as Platonists, you want to study the Timaeus because it's giving you an insight into the process of creation which you can turn then upon yourself. That's the all. Therefore, these are the same, though this is greater and this is lesser. Idea, idea. Therefore, it's basically a 3-term mean analogy. Right? A is to B as B is to C. And there are 2 rules in the transformation of an analogy. The analogy is nothing other than 2 ratios where the connection between them must be similar. 2 ratios that have a basic similarity form an analogy. It's that similarity that's the bond. Let's watch that bond, see. Now, within a ratio you can switch the terms, and between the ratios you can switch the terms. But they must be in the same order. Order, 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 rational. Must be the same order. So, therefore, B is to A, as C is to B. And we can put numbers on this if we like 2 is to 4, right, as 4 is to 8. And if you switch them around, 4 is to 2 as 8 is to 4, same thing. Right? Now, we can now take the second rule and switch the terms in respect to each one. So we can take the first is to the third as the second is to the fourth, or we can take them in that way. Let's take the first is to the third as the second is to the fourth for our next term. Therefore, B is to C as A is to B. And then we can switch that around using our first rule. Now, what do we get? Look here. Any time you can fold something over on itself and have the same qualities on both sides of the fold, that's the property of symmetry. Therefore,